When I was in film school, I mean, you have all varieties of people. You know, every time people hang out, you hang out at a bar, or and not just that, which is pretty common for college students. You got. I'm not sure if it's true, but you got a lot more drugs going on in the film sectors. I couldn't really be involved in any of that sort of stuff, and I didn't really want to be, so it kind of made it hard to network at first. But then I guess it just took a little bit more of a creative effort, trying to figure out other ways to hang out with people. And you'd even have the question of, what kind of projects do you want to work on?
This punk was up to no good.
She soon found it satisfying to work on her own projects, such as this film, Sleeper Cell, which originally began as a project at school. Shot film noir style, it satirizes the post-9/11 era of homeland security and targeting people of Islamic faith.
From his first words, I'd know if there was something to worry about. There's something to worry about.
Although Lena's style is still developing, she seems to favor a gentle, non-threatening approach when making her statements.
It also seemed that one of the ways that social movements happen in this country is that when we see that there's a dollar sign attached to it, when there's a market for Muslim audiences are not going to go very long to see themselves being portrayed as evil and terrorists and intolerant. Do you have any observation about that, and that when we finally see that we have to portray fully rounded, complete characters, that also makes a difference in increasing not only the subject and themes of that are used that are Muslim themes, but also Muslim audiences are going to feel comfortable going to those films?
Yeah, Muslims are actually getting a lot more cognizant. With the help of it, we have a few organizations working on it, where they're not as happy anymore with the typical stereotyped view. So, for instance, like what Trader is my most recent example. That or among the Muslim community, there was email debates, forums, everything about it. And a lot of people, weren't happy with the portrayals of it because they said, only the main character has any types of nuances to him. Everybody else in the picture is your typical, one-face terrorist or something like that. And so it's getting there where the Muslims aren't being accepting of really any other portrayal. But, right now, because things are so bad, it seems like a lot of Muslims are happy with whatever we can get at this moment. It's like, for instance, on the Muslim listservs, Muslim things like that, Colin Powell's recent statements was blasted everywhere. Everybody was so excited. They're all, I'm willing to forgive him for everything he ever did to all of my relatives across the country, for that one statement. And people were, Muslim community has just been looking, especially in the entertainment industry and news media, for some kind of white knight to come around. Like, my mom has that Hajj featurette in her cabinet right now, tucked away because she loves it so much, and they're just waiting, this white knight to save them and say things in the same direct and thought-provoking way that Powell did, when what we're trying to do now is get the Muslims themselves to do those sorts of things. With the help of people who will help promote that message. So it's changing a little bit.
And one of the groups that is doing a lot of work to that direction is CAIR, the group you've been hearing so much about, the Council on American Islamic Relations. And representing CAIR tonight is Munira. Please welcome her.
I would say in general, there has been more, 7 years after 9/11, there have been more and more positive portrayals of Muslims in the media, both on the news side and entertainment side. Great example is the Hajj series. In general, it has been more and more positive. We're not there yet. I mean, there's still a lot of anti-Muslim bigotry in the media, or there's still a lot of anti-Arab sentiment in our society. And of course, I hope everybody knows here that there's a difference between Arab and Muslim. There is Arab Christians. There is, I'm Pakistani. I'm not an Arab, but I'm Muslim. So in general, it's become more and more positive. And our work at CAIR, what we try to do is we try to encourage more folks to go, younger Muslims and Arabs, to go into media, to go into politics, because as a community, if we're not organized, if we're not out there, then this is what we're going to see, what we're seeing in society today, in media today. Right after 9/11, one of the first groups that came to the defense and to the protection of the Muslim community was the Japanese American community. And they said, we've gone through this before. Our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents have gone through what's called internment, and we won't let that happen to another community.
And in the years after that, we got support, a lot of support from members of the Jewish community, members of the Christian community, a lot of progressive groups. So the support has come from all sides. And like you said, there's a lot of ignorance about Islam and Muslims in our country. I mean, it's been 7 years after 9/11, but there's still a lot of ignorance. And mostly people just don't know. Americans just don't know what's Muslim, what's Islam. I used to be a reporter, and I used to work for newspapers in Southern California. And I had a colleague come to me one time, and she was like, I don't want to sound stupid, but what's the difference between a Muslim and Islam? And I was like, that's totally fine. This is why I'm here. So
there's sometimes a difficulty in our expressing our own curiosity, which is utterly, completely understandable and charming in its own way, and not to feel threatened by that sense of open curiosity. And we hope we can encourage that as well. Our final panelist, who's gotten a little bit of a light role so far here, sitting down on the end down there, Siamak Kalhor, who I'm thrilled to have here tonight. There are a couple of us in this room who are radio fanatics, and I'm pointing out my good friend here from KPFK, Don Wasani, who's also a radio producer and announcer. And so Siamak's voice is heard by up to 1 million people at a hearing, and it's a voice that's very well known. If you just say hello for a second.
Salam.
That's a voice that's heard.
Salam actually is an Arabic word, but we use it. We're predominantly Muslim community, Iranian community. I represent a radio station here, a small radio station named 670 AM KIRN. It's in the left dial of your AM stations. And I joined them about 10 years ago. This little radio station has grown into a powerful media tool for Iranian community, Iranian American community here, which had been living here for the past 3 decades. I was, before coming here, I looked at the panel and I said, my God, I'm so glad I'm here. My friends asked me, what are you doing here? Well, we represent about 1 million Muslims in Southern California and about another 1 million around the country. As Munira said, I listened to the advice and I joined the media. Anything about the Muslims and Muslims American and our portrayal in the media has been briefly and very powerfully explained by Lena Khan. If it wasn't haram, I would get up and kiss you for that video that you have made, honestly. When I watched it, I said, my God, especially the lady with the hijab that goes to, where does he shop? Victoria's Secret. Yeah. Yeah, Muslims shop in Victoria's Secret, I'm sure. But the most important thing, something that we've been really working on in our radio station is empowerment of our community and teaching them to vote. The thing is, we have to vote. We have to get into the political arena.
For the first time in American television, a Muslim hero was portrayed as devout and patriotic. The lesson of the series was that Islam is not the enemy, extremism is. Muslims have been a healthy part of the American social fabric for years, and with time, I hope more positive portrayals of Muslims will appear on television. But my message to the audience is that at the end of the day, only Muslim participation in the entertainment industry can lead to a lasting change. I encourage Muslims and those who care about how Muslims are portrayed to become active in Hollywood, whether as writers, directors, or actors, or as producers and studio executives who ultimately decide what gets on the air. As one of the first Muslim writers to become established in the Hollywood system, I encourage others to join me and help craft a more realistic representation of Islam in the media. At this critical moment in history, we cannot afford a clash of civilizations between Islam and the West. If we allow extremists on both sides to dominate the debate as to what Islam is, then we all lose. That from Kamran Pasha, who is still taping tonight.
The Muslim community has come a long ways. I mean, they're not as organized, but they're getting there, like any other community. Right. They need to do a better job of respecting free speech, even if they don't like it. If they find it offensive, Muslims just need to. It should never get to violence.